Today I want to review for you the new Huda Beauty GloWish bronzer. Wow. This is beautiful. Like I'm so impressed, you guys. I was not expecting this bronzer to be this beautiful as it is, and you'll see what I mean when we go through the application. Tell you what, let's just do the application right now and then we'll have a chat about this. Okay, so I'm just going to grab some of this with my Shiseido brush T2. I'm taking a nice big fluffy brush because I want to build that color very, very slowly. Just because this is a deeper shade of the bronzer, I'm just gonna dip it in slightly. I'm just going to pat it along my cheek. Oh, that's beautiful. Can you see that? It's just added that hint of warmth that is really, really beautiful. And now I'm just going to blend it out. So of course, I'm going to go back in and pick up a little bit more product. So again, tapping it in, and then again, you pat it in. This is really beautiful, you guys. I mean, just look at how creamy this application looks. It is so easy to apply and blend. And right now I'm actually trying this on top of powder. So I put some powder on my cheek. Although this is a slightly creamy formulation, it blends and applies beautifully on top of powder as well as on top of unset foundation. So that looks really stunning, and I am quite happy that I picked up this shade. Because although when I swatched it in store, it looks so deep and so intense, you can see that just a sheer layer of this gives you the perfect color. And now I'm going to build up a little bit more because I want you to see the pigment. But I'm not going to build up too much because I'm just really, really happy how this looks. Oh yes, that's very pretty. It also builds very nicely. It doesn't look patchy or cakey on the skin or anything like that. It's just really, really beautiful. Finally, a Huda Beauty product that I can say I love. I absolutely love this bronzer. I have to say, this is so easy to apply and blend. I wasn't expecting, I mean, just look at that. Look at that. How beautifully warm and stunning does that look? Oh my God. I am obsessed with this bronzer, you guys. Wow, this is exactly what my face needed. It needed some warmth from this foundation that looks a little bit too light, and this is perfect. Oh my God, I'm obsessed. It's perfect for summer because this is the type of warmth you want on your face. I also love that this shade doesn't look too red on my skin. I was afraid that because it's such a deep shade, I was afraid it was going to look really red, but it really doesn't. As you can see, when I've applied a light layer like this, it definitely is a warm bronzer. There's no doubt about it, but it doesn't give me the really red undertones, which I love. I love. So this is so stunning. And this is how it looks on my forehead. It looks so beautiful on the forehead just because the formulation is so creamy. So that application was really, really beautiful, and this is the shade that I picked up. It's a shade Deep Tan, which is number 4. Now, it was very, very difficult to figure out what shade to purchase. To be honest, I was really confused between Tan Light and Deep Tan, because Tan Light, I'm just going to put up a little footage here that I took at Sephora. Now, I swatched these bronzers on my arm, and shade medium, I was initially going to buy online shade medium. I'm kind of glad now I didn't, because medium is very, very light. As you can see on my arm swatch there, it kind of actually blends into my skin tone. So Tan Light looked a little bit muddy, and that really worried me. I really don't like muddy bronzers. If I've got a bronzer that's a little bit too neutral, a little bit too cool, we are in trouble zone, because the last thing I want is a muddy cheek. So when I saw that, I was not happy about it, and I had wished it wasn't such a neutral bronzer. And then of course we have Deep Tan, which is the one I picked up. So Deep Tan was very warm and pretty deep as well. So that also worried me, because if it's too deep it's going to look way too dark on me, and if it's also too warm, that could be problematic. I'm happy to say that deep tan is not problematic. It is a warm bronzer, but you can really control that application. It doesn't apply heavy straight away. You can really build this in light layers, which is amazing. I really appreciate that. So even though I picked up such a deeper color, the application was actually perfect. I'm still pretty curious about tan light because I think it might just work for me. I was a little bit too much of a scaredy cat to pick up that one. And honestly, after buying all these Pat McGrath blushes and the Lisa Eldridge releases, I barely had any money left over. And so that's the reason why I didn't pick up tan light. Otherwise, I would have picked it up and I would have done a comparison with this. So I'm sorry about that. But I'm very, very happy with this bronzer, you guys. I'm so surprised. This formula is amazing. It is so creamy. So if I just dip my hand, oh, I can just feel it. It is super creamy. The pigment comes up quite easily. So this is what deep tan looks like. You can see that the shade isn't actually extremely warm or very red. It's perfect. And then I'm just going to slide that. Look how creamy that is. It's almost like a semi-cream bronzer. It is stunning. Oh my gosh. I'm so impressed. I feel like lately Huda Beauty releases haven't really vibed with me. I haven't really been liking a lot of her products, but I can hands down say this is an amazing bronzer. If you're even the least bit interested, grab it. It's beautiful. I think you will probably get stuck in terms of what shade to get. So I highly recommend you check out some other videos on YouTube, especially people that have used tan light, and try and see which shade speaks to you more. But I'm quite happy I picked up this shade. I know that when it's summer for me, it's winter in New Zealand, but when it's summer for me, I know that I'll be able to use this shade and I won't have any issues whatsoever. I have to say kudos to Huda and her team for creating this formula. I have like a million bronzers and I love so many bronzers. The fact that this has now made it into my top bronzer list, that's amazing. Like, that's really amazing. By the way, so those of you who were interested in the Gucci bronzer, now the Gucci bronzer has slightly that creamy application as well, but of course these formulas are actually quite different. They're really not the same. What I will tell you that if you've been dying to get the Gucci but it's really out of your budget, then forget the Gucci, get the Huda Beauty. Because you're going to get the same slightly creamy application with Huda. You're not going to get any shimmer with Huda like you do get with Gucci. And what's even better, the Gucci, in fact, when you apply this bronzer, it leaves a slight layer on the skin. This is not a bronzer that melts into the skin. You do have this creamy layer that sits on top. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that this bronzer does. Right? The Hudas, on the other hand, actually becomes part of your skin. This really melts into the skin and it doesn't at all look like you have a layer of product sitting on top of your skin like you do with the Gucci. So I really enjoy the Gucci. There's no doubt about it. And I know a lot of people enjoy the Gucci as well. But I think some pretty good competition right here. I think if you haven't invested in this, I think maybe don't worry about spending so much money on the Gucci unless, of course, you really want it. But instead, actually have a look at the Huda. The Huda is a great price, amazing formulation, so creamy, so buttery. You saw in the application video, it blends like a dream. Oh my god, it's been a while since I have massively raved about a Huda Beauty product. Like it's been a hot minute, but I love it. I love it. I really, really, really love it. Now, I will absolutely also be reviewing the new GloWish skin tint from Huda. I've been testing it out now for some time, so I will be filming that and have that up for you guys as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will, of course, see you in my next video. See ya.